Welcome, everybody. Sean O'Connell, Geoff Schwartz. I'm going to steal a name for this show from Twitter.
Okay, yes.
He called it the Football Guys. Foot, that's you. Brawl is me. Football Guys. What do you think? We're workshopping.
I mean, is that better? I can't make a. So Sean, obviously, if you don't know, MMA fighter, he's won $1 million before, believe it or not, in a fight. Is it odd to like that people know the exact amount you won on a fight? Like people guys know my contract, but it's not like something that's attached to like a single thing I did. You're attached to I won $1 million in a fight.
Yeah, it's not that big of a deal for me, especially when you do compare it to folks like yourself who, I mean, look, $1 million is great. It was a nice little windfall for us. It's not what it used to be. People can look up what all you NFL players make and know exactly how much money you have or had at one point in your career. So that feels a little bit crazier.
But the point of the thing is that Sean, we've done radio for 5 years, but only twice in person, it feels like. And one of the times he asked me to make a fist, and I my thumb was sticking above the knuckles because I can't turn my thumb like this. This physically hurts.
Yeah.
Like my thumb, my NFL thumbs. So I couldn't fight. So you're certainly the brawler in this one.
Yeah, unfortunately, that thumb would get broken over and over just because it was like poking out above where it was supposed to. It's funny though that I have to. When my daughter makes a fist, I have to tell her the same thing. No, you got to get your thumbs out of the way.
You really tell her that?
Yeah, because little kids, they do this.
Like this. Yeah.
They go like this. I'm like, no, you got to tuck those bad boys. All right. Anyway.
You teach your kids to fight soon?
Yeah. So my oldest is 4.5 now, and when she turns 5, she'll be starting wrestling and jiu-jitsu class. So
wow.
Yeah. They do it great. My gym, they have a kids program. They put them in the little gis, the little kimono things. They got a bunch of companies make like really cute ones for girls who might be more inclined to want to have like a princess dress on. But
okay.
Yeah, so it'll hopefully be a successful errand. We'll see. Anyway, we got a lot to talk about. Obviously, divisional weekend of the NFL playoffs coming up. So we'll get into some of those matchups. The college football news cycle continues to spin. There's all this crazy stuff. I mean, Alabama, the University of Alabama is having a sort of fan base meltdown because for once they are victims of the transfer portal instead of being the beneficiaries of blue blood status in college football. The upheaval, Nick Saban's retirement now has people in Tuscaloosa just in a panic, which I love. But I don't really want to spend a lot of time on that. Or if we do, I want to get to it later because my favorite story in college football right now is just a little across the bottom of your ticker kind of headline. Cam McCormick, former Oregon Duck, who's now a Miami Hurricane because of that transfer portal, has opted in for his 9th season of college football. I like that headline. 9th season of college football. This is Van Wilder on the gridiron. Actually, I think Van Wilder was only in school for like 8 years. But in any case, this is unbelievable. Class of 2016 recruit Cam McCormick back for another year at Miami.
Okay, so before COVID, you got 4 years to play over 5 seasons in 5 years in college, right? It was 4 to play over 5 years.
Yeah,
5 years, 4 to play. Because of the COVID year, everyone got 1 more year. Now that's almost I think that's almost to an end after this year, right, Sean? I think we have no more COVID extra years. On top of that, you can get a medical red shirt. So if you get hurt before the season starts, you play no plays whatsoever. I think you can get a medical red shirt actually if you play a couple plays. But the point is, you can get a medical red shirt. They can extend you 1 more year. So in theory, you can have 7 years with the COVID year, right? The 5 plus 1 plus 1. But McCormick got hurt so many times that he keeps getting medical red shirts. I don't know why he's the one who keeps getting them. Maybe no one's actually asked to play this long, and like they could have missed out on this. But I mean, he's going to have his doctorate before we know it. He's been there 9 years.
Yeah. We don't see this because most of the time when people have multiple season-ending injuries, they become medical hardship waivers where they're no longer on the team, but the school has to honor their scholarship. I went to school with some of these guys, right? I went to school with a couple of guys who did the 7-year thing, like you're talking about, and that was long before we had stuff called the transfer portal, long before name, image, and likeness. I don't think Cam McCormick is a big player in that space. I could be wrong there, but yeah, he had 4 seasons with season-ending injuries. So here he is coming back for year number 9. He's actually not going to be that old, right? I think he'll be 26.
not that old. Does he have a full family already? Is he like one of the Mormon guys who goes on a mission?
Well, that's the thing. Like, I say not that old because I live in Utah, and in Utah, I mean, when I was in school, my freshman year, there was a 28-year-old freshman on the team, a guy who had gone on a mission, come back, hadn't started school, had kind of explored other possibilities. He was a 28-year-old freshman on the team. I've told you the story many times on our Pac-12 radio show of when I was working coverage on a game. I was going over the film and going over the roster of Utah's season opening game against Southern Utah University. This is like the 11th year of my radio career, okay? And a guy that was on my high school football team. I was a senior. He was a sophomore. A guy that was on my high school football team was suited up and ready to play as a junior for Southern Utah University because I think people know this. If you don't go to school immediately, you don't start your eligibility clock, so you're not burning eligibility. If you go back to school after you graduate high school, you go join the military, you just work, do whatever, you could be 35 years old, and that's when your eligibility starts.
Yeah, most guys, that if you wait too long, you obviously end up not being able to physically play college football, right? I mean, that's the problem if you wait so long. But obviously, no problem here. Cam McCormick, 9th year, incredible story. Sean, before we get to the NFL, the transfer portal is just out of control, buddy. There's no way to change it.
Wait, please, can I please throw some trivia at you before we get to this? Before we get off Cam McCormick, please.
Sure.
Is that okay?
Yes.
This is fun. I want to do this because it was a fun little list for me to go over. If you had to guess the oldest player in college football history who actually got on the field, and you can give me the kicker and the non-kicker if you want, because obviously when you're a kicker, you can go a little bit deeper into your old age. But do you know how old, like the oldest guy to do it?
Are we talking
who that was, or how old that person was?
All levels of college football, or just Division I?
Yeah, I'll give you all of them because that's all levels, and then there's some guys who actually did suit up and play in Division I football.
Isn't there a guy like who was like
this is 40, a wild list?
Isn't it like 41 at like South Carolina State or something?
Okay, older. I love what you've done here. You're an encyclopedia of college football knowledge. So the oldest ever, okay, was an NAIA school. And he was a kicker, so it barely counts. 61 years old. All right, and he kicked. Tom Thompson, also 61 years old.
Tom Thompson.
At Austin College in Sherman, Texas. Okay. Also a kicker. He scored 1 point, kicking an extra point in the year. And this is when we get into some like stuff that's a little bit more interesting, at least for me. Okay. 59 years old. Small school, Sul Ross State University. That's in Alpine, Texas, as I'm sure you know. All the way back in 2007, a 59-year-old linebacker was before they decided to go back to college and play linebacker at age 59. What would you guess their career was?
I don't know, teacher.
Yeah, teacher of sorts. He was a strength and conditioning coach.
I love it. Oh, it's fantastic.
He was a strength and conditioning coach at Nebraska, Oregon, and Texas A&M. So a guy who'd been backer. It's so fantastic. Also, this is where the South Carolina State guy comes in. Joe Thomas Sr., his son, Joe Thomas Jr., had committed to play at South Carolina State University. And he said, you know what? I'm going to go play with you. So he was on the team with his son, but then he kept getting injured, so he had to sit out.
Shocking.
After his son graduated and moved on and played for the Dallas Cowboys, senior at age 55, got in a game, carried the ball for 3 yards as a running back. Wow. The most notable one, and I actually remember watching this guy. I don't know why I was watching a game when they put him in. The University of South Carolina, this SEC school, 40 years old now. I promise you, I would not do well even in a practice in Division I college football. 40 years old, South Carolina, wide receiver, special teamer, Tim Frisbee, and he was kind of a big story because he was an Army Ranger. He went straight from high school to the military, was an Army Ranger, was in combat tours in Kosovo. This dude was legit, and he actually he played for the team for real. 40 years old, ran down on special teams, kickoff team, kick return, that kind of thing. 40 years old in the SEC, Geoff.
That's I couldn't do it. I don't have those genetics. By the way, Tom Thompson looks exactly like you expect Tom Thompson to look like. Incredible, incredible, just incredible. Tom
Thompson looks like the general manager at your local grocery store, and it's fantastic.
Unbelievable. Yeah, good for him, man.
All right.
There is NFL breaking news. Antonio Pierce got a permanent job with the Las Vegas Raiders. We covered Pierce a little bit at Arizona State. He unceremoniously got canned there amid some recruiting violations. It's kind of interesting how you just go to the NFL and you just all those get forgotten about. It's like, again, I mean, the recruiting violations were, I believe, right. They hosted recruits during COVID, basically COVID dead periods. So it wasn't like he was doing anything that was, terribly unmoral, immoral. Just he was breaking the rules. But the permanent coach for the Raiders, Sean, I gotta say, there's not a long track record of these hires being successful. The hire from within, the hire of the interim coach, but this one feels a little bit different because the way he coached him as a player, as a winning player, he's been a winner. He was a winner as a high school coach as well. The way he carries sort of the Raider, the honor of being, a Raider, and the team played much better when he was in. I think this is a rare time when I actually sort of agree with hiring from within.
Interesting. What do you make of, the Raiders' best player, Max Crosby, said, I don't want to play for somebody else.
Yeah, I don't think that matters, quite honestly, Sean. I think that you make the decision based off. I mean, look, you don't have to trade Crosby. It's the NFL, right? Owners often say, sorry, you play or don't play, you're going to sit out or not. Yeah. If it was, if they hired Mike Vrabel, was he really being like, I'm not playing for Mike Vrabel? No, come on. So I don't. Those threats to me never really feel like they're actual legitimate threats. I think Pierce was probably the best guy for the job. Who would take it?
Good for him. Congratulations to him. One of the many cases we've seen in which someone sort of runs afoul of the rule book in college football and ends up finding a really nice landing spot in the NFL. It'd be interesting to see.
Welcome to Harbaugh. Harbaugh's going to be there soon too, isn't he? Harbaugh is going to be in the NFL. What'd you make of David Shaw getting an interview? We've talked about David Shaw for a while. That NFL David Shaw, man, that's something that I think we both agree that we would like to see.
We kind of forgot about. I kind of forgot about it for a while, right? Because David Shaw at Stanford, the wheels fell off for whatever reason in those final few years at Stanford, and maybe not entirely his fault. Stanford's fighting an uphill battle when it comes to recruiting, especially in a landscape that features the transfer portal so aggressively and the name, image, and likeness thing. I thought Stanford actually had an opportunity to really take advantage of that, but people there don't care as much. Anyway, David Shaw, he sort of lost the locker room if you paid attention to a lot of the behind-the-scenes stuff at Stanford. But it's a different game, right? We're talking about a guy who's one of the great football minds. When we see NFL David Shaw, he's incredibly charismatic. I think that he'll be able to, if he gets an opportunity like this, and maybe it's the Chargers, maybe it's somebody else, I think he'll be able to, translate everything that he was good at Stanford and avoid all the things that he didn't like doing. I think that part of the reason that he started to, I don't want to say fail, but he started to falter at Stanford is because I don't think he loved doing the recruiting thing.
Yeah.
I don't think he loved the shaking hands and kissing babies with boosters and donors and things like that. I think that David Shaw's a football guy who wanted to be allowed to be a football coach and not have to be the administrator that a college football head coach has to be, especially at a place like Stanford. So if it's the Chargers or somewhere else, I wouldn't bat an eye. I think that'd be a great hire. We'll see how it works out because there was some issue with how he managed personnel. There was some issue with how he connected with players in the later years at Stanford. Was that because of Stanford? Was that because of the college rules, or is that because of David Shaw? We'll see if he gets an NFL job.
I feel like his personality, though, just fits the NFL a lot better.
It seems like it does. No nonsense. We're all professionals here. Let's go get our work done.
Yeah. Like, I don't see Shaw as someone who really is going to ass kiss a lot of the players nowadays that need that to not leave, right? I don't see him as a guy, talking about college, as a college coach.
Yeah.
I don't see him like recruiting his players to stay after they had a bad freshman season. I feel like he is the perfect temperament for a pro coach. I think he would get along well with the players. I mean, Justin Herbert with him would be fantastic. He'd bring in good coaches. There is an idea that possibly he would be Harbaugh's OC again, and maybe that's why he's interviewing with the Chargers to get a sense of like, okay, if we hire Harbaugh and you come with us, come with him, are you sort of like, we're going to vet you too, essentially. That was an interesting way to look at that possibly, because he was his OC before, right? That's how he got the Stanford job. When Harbaugh left, he took over. I believe him. Yeah.
He'd had an incredible track record with the quarterbacks that were there under Harbaugh. He'd had an incredible track record with the running backs that were there under Harbaugh. He took over and he kept that thing going for quite some time. Intellectual brutality. I mean, we forget about it now because of how far Stanford has fallen, but that program was an absolute juggernaut, not only of wins and stuff, but they were producing big-time NFL players consistently, big-time all-conference, all-American level players consistently during that decade plus between Jim Harbaugh's tenure and the glory days of David Shaw.
Oh, yeah. Well, we're in the glory days, Sean, of the NFL because this is the best weekend of NFL football, right? It's divisional round. Yeah. The one seeds are back into it. We look at the quarterbacks in the AFC especially. But these games are big spreads, though, except all but one of them really. And we're here to talk some NFL. We don't get a chance to do that very often on a radio show, so we get a chance to do that here. Would you like to go in order of games or order of stories? Because I feel like there's the story. The final game of the weekend is the biggest story between the Chiefs and the Bills.
Well, let's go with the order of importance. Okay. Let's start with the San Francisco 49ers and the Green Bay Packers, because that's the most important game, because I love the San Francisco 49ers.
Most important to you.
Yes. Look, you just mentioned this. Like, this is a perfect weekend for the NFL because it showcases this quarterback talent specifically, right? Yeah. I mean, obviously all these teams are loaded elsewhere, but the quarterback lineup in these matchups is pretty fantastic. And that's what you want in playoff football, and that's no coincidence because you need to have quality quarterback play to get to this point in your season. And then there's this narrative that, well, we're playing that Sesame Street game. One of these things is not like the other. And that people are questioning whether or not Brock Purdy, who got injured and didn't have to prove himself in the postseason yet, whether Brock Purdy is a guy who really gets to stand shoulder to shoulder with Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, etc.
Look, talent-wise, I don't think Brock Purdy will ever be able to stand shoulder to shoulder with those guys, right?
Right.
But his talent in this offense, and guys, Sean, every winning quarterback is a system quarterback, right? Like you play in a system that typically benefits you. You and your coach work on it together, and you execute in the system. Now, the difference is obviously, let's say Mahomes and Allen, they make plays sort of outside the structure that Brock Purdy doesn't always do. Now, part of it is that Brock Purdy doesn't have to do that because guys are open a lot in his offense. And we've seen his ability, given a healthy offense. The Niners are fully healthy right now. Given the rest they've had, they haven't played in nearly a month now, right, Sean? Because they didn't play in the final week of the season. They didn't play last weekend. So it's been a full month since they actually hit someone, which benefits, I think, a little bit of an older team at some positions for the Niners. And you look at the dynamic nature of McCaffrey and Debo and Kittle and Ayuk and Trent Williams and that entire defense. The Niners, to me, don't need Brock Purdy to be the hero all the time. The Chiefs and the Bills need Mahomes Allen to be the hero. Brock Purdy doesn't have to be the hero. Just do what is assigned of you on a given play. Now, of course, if the Packers can get him off of that, that's where you might get him into trouble, but he hasn't shown that this season. The Niners run the ball very well.
Yes.
They pass the ball very well. The Packers defense can't stop anybody. They haven't done that all season. They allowed 30 points, the Packers defense did, to the Carolina Panthers in week 16, Sean. The Panthers scored 0 points the next week and 0 points the next week, okay? Even in a game that they dominated, they allowed 32 points to Dallas Cowboys. The Niners, to me, are going to score a bunch of points, and it does feel like out of the three underdogs that won last three won last week, right? The Packers, the Bucks, and the Texans. This is the team, to me, that falls back a little bit, right? The Packers are, again, the youngest offense in the NFL. They played a Cowboys team that just is very much a front runner. This Niners team is not a front runner. Kyle Shanahan, 4-0 in the playoffs at home as a Niners head coach, 4-0 covering the spread at home as a Niners coach. It does feel like the Niners are going to start fast and just sort of grind down the Packers to a comfortable 14 to 21 point win.
I feel like this is that wall that we see, Cinderellas run into sometimes. And you can't call Green Bay any sort of Cinderella, but they're a great story because of the things you mentioned. They're a young team. To see what their quarterback has been through and the way that he's emerged and all that stuff, right? That's great. But this is a Green Bay team that lost 5 of their last 8 and sort of backed their way into the playoffs. And look, I'm always happy to see the Cowboys step on their own you-know-whats because that's just the Cowboy way. But now you're going to run into arguably the best team in the National Football League. I don't like the long layoff, actually. When you got things humming and you got things going, I don't like – maybe a week off is great, but you don't want 2 weeks off, 3 weeks off for the San Francisco 49ers. So I wouldn't be surprised by a bit of a slow start just to, shake off the ring rust. But I think this is where the Green Bay fairy tale comes to an end. Last thing on this matchup and on Brock Purdy specifically, if you were picking playground style and everyone's grabbing a quarterback first, is Brock Purdy the last one that gets picked? Do you like him better than you like Baker? Do you like him better than you like Jared Goff? Do you like him better than you like a young and inexperienced C.J. Stroud?
I think he would be ahead of Jordan Love, who he's playing.
Okay.
I think he would be ahead of Baker Mayfield and Jared Goff. Yeah, I think he would not be the last one picked.
Okay. Well, then I'm all right. That makes me more comfortable hearing it from you because that's part of the storyline in this is like, hey, Brock Purdy, let's see what you really got, because we know that this offense does not rely on him as much as some of these other teams rely on their quarterback. But I think if there's going to be a blowout on the NFC side of the playoffs this weekend, this is it for me. I think this is the one where the Niners could just, they've been scoring 30 plus. The Packers, as you said, gave up 30 plus to the Carolina Panthers. I could see this being like a 48-20 game, but we'll move off it here. All right. I'm going to save Kansas City Buffalo for last because I know that's the one you care about the most. Tampa Bay Detroit. This is you already mentioned the underdog story, the fact that Tampa Bay was one of the 3 underdogs who won. Detroit gets another home game, and Aiden Hutchinson. It was funny. Aiden Hutchinson was interviewed in the game post game last week, and obviously monster player. And they're like, hey, you get to come back next week. And he was like, oh, we do? He didn't even know, and that like he's the Michigan kid, right?
Yeah.
He's a guy, he grew up there, but the home field advantage, uh, the Bucks did not do anything to prepare for the Detroit weather, as
Good.
that poor reporter who just asked. We've all asked one of those bad questions. That poor reporter asked Bowles a question about if they prepared for the cold, and he had to remind this poor woman that they've been playing indoors in Detroit for 35 years.
Do you remember? I remember a bad question like that I asked to Chip Kelly. I made a comment at a media day like, "Hey, coach, you have all these players like left on the roster from the old staff." He's like, "Nope, I brought in like 4 of them," and I was like, "Oh, whoopsie, I didn't do my homework." It was very embarrassing. This probably was a reporter that doesn't cover football. Was asked to ask Todd Bowles a question. Saw they were going to Detroit. She saw what happened last weekend, right, with the Chiefs game and the Bills game, and was like, "You know what? It's probably cold in Detroit. I'm going to ask the cold question." And he's like, "We'll be outside for a whole 20 seconds."
It's like when I asked Roxy Burns on Bay Area Radio, and I asked Roxy Bernstein, our buddy, what his Christmas plans were. That was great. I was like, "So Rox, it was like a December 22nd show. Roxy Bernstein, you guys got big plans for Christmas?" And he's super gracious about it. But I was like, I'm an idiot.
I mean, you are an idiot, but I like you anyways. This game is really interesting because the Lions defense is not good. They forced a bunch of field goals in the red zone against the Rams, and the Lions don't have a good red zone defense. So that was sort of something that I haven't done most of the season. They're like 26, I think, against the pass, 28th against the pass. It does feel like the Bucs can keep this game very close because of their ability to pass the football. I never thought I would say to any point, Sean, that Baker Mayfield was sort of a reason why a team wins or loses a playoff game. And it feels like if he can be unbothered by pressure, if they can block Aiden Hutchinson, it does feel like they can get a lot of yards in this game. And a lot of yards in this game equal points. The Lions allowed 425 yards to the Rams. They got outgained. They just forced field goals, which, look, part of football is that, red zone success. And the Rams didn't have it. I think the Bucs are going to have it. And I'm not sure I'm ready to pick Tampa Bay to win this game, but I do think if you're wagering on this game, the 6.5 by Tampa Bay is something you have to really consider because the Lions defense keeps a lot of games closer than they have to be.
All right. Which of these teams, we already said we think the Niners are going to win. Which of these teams is more of a threat for San Francisco moving forward from this weekend?
Good question. Probably the Lions because they're, I think, overall better in the trenches. And they have a coach that's really aggressive and that is not going to give up like 4th down opportunities. And if you keep pushing, aggressive, it could go both ways, Sean. You end up obviously not converting. We saw that with Oregon, Washington, right? You don't convert, it ends up costing the game, or you convert a couple of those and you keep the game pretty close. And so to me, it's the Lions. It's the Lions, but I will say the Lions outside, away from the dome, that actually worries me sort of the most of any of this. Like they just golf outside in the weather. I know it's San Francisco, so it's not that much weather, but they do say, right, the coldest winter I ever spent was a summer in San Francisco.
But it's not summer. San Francisco's nice in the winter.
It's because it's not as bad as the rest of the country. I think it's Lions. What do you think?
Yeah, I that's what I expected you to say, and partially just because I think that San Francisco's defensive front is so dominant, and they'll mow over Tampa Bay. I think Detroit's offensive line is a better. They're not an equal match to the San Francisco defensive front in my mind, but they're closer to that than what Tampa Bay can field. So I think that's going to be a big factor in the way that both of these teams want to approach an NFC championship game with a trip to the Super Bowl on the line. Also, a fun fact about Tampa Bay Detroit: the most expensive ticket in the divisional round of the playoffs is that Ford Field. It's if you were, just acting on a whim today and saying, "Hey, let's go to one of these NFL playoff games," you could get into Houston, Baltimore for $77. It's a great price.
Fantastic price.
That's like tempting. I kind of like call my little brother who's a Ravens fan and be like, let's just go watch one of these. Green Bay at San Francisco. You can get into the Levi's Stadium for $150. Kansas City, Buffalo, if you're willing to suffer through the temperatures that I'm sure will be punishing all those fans. It's only $175, but it's going to cost you $475 to get into Ford Field in Detroit, Michigan. So, fun little fact there. The community has really rallied. They love their Lions.
They do. All right, you want to go to what is it?
Houston, Baltimore.
Houston, Baltimore.
Is this just as simple as one team has the MVP and the other has a guy that wants to be who that MVP is someday soon?
Possibly, but I will say Lamar Jackson has struggled in these games in his career. Sean, he's only covered 1 of 9 games where he has been the favorite of 7.5 points or more. So, look, it's not losing the games, but the games are much closer than they have to be, which is not fantastic. He has not played as well in the playoffs as he has in the regular. He's a small sample size, but he's 1-3 straight up and 1-3 against the spread in the playoffs. He's actually 4-0 to the under in the playoffs. He has the most losses at 10-point favorite in Super Bowl era history. 2 of those. They just have not proven in these moments to play as well as they have in the regular season. His numbers in the postseason, Sean, I'm looking at right now, he completes 10% less passes, less touchdowns, more interceptions, lower passer rating. So all these trends have to be bucked for him to play as well as we think he's capable of playing in this team to beat the Texans. The same concern I have about the Lions on the road in the weather. I mean, Houston is an indoor hot weather city, on the road, cold weather, windy, sort of happy to be there,
house money kind of deal.
Yeah, but it's a lot of pressure on them to win this game. Like, you have the MVP on your roster. You have a young Texans team coming to your place. It does feel like, they sort of, there's a lot of pressure on Baltimore. I'll put it like that. They're without Mark Andrews, right? Mark Andrews is not going to play. They're tight end. I think Marlon Humphrey's not going to play. One of the better defensive guys. So they're a little beat up. I still think Baltimore wins this game, Sean, but I think it's closer than Baltimore fans are going to want. Is
there anything to the fact that Houston, of all the playoff wins from Wild Card Weekend, theirs was the most dominant? They were is that more a factor with the opponent and who they mowed over? Or is that something, I know momentum week to week is
no, I mean,
mercurial thing.
It was, Flacco threw 2 pick sixes. Like that helps a lot. I don't think Lamar's going to throw 2 pick sixes. So I think this game is close. Baltimore wins, a little pressure on Baltimore, and they get it done though. We see a Baltimore, and then we'll see who the other AFC team is.
All right, let's talk about this is the matchup that the NFL wants to be for a trip to the Super Bowl. They want this kind of thing to be an AFC championship game, but we get it in the divisional round. Patrick Mahomes and the Taylor Swift band are traveling to Orchard Park, New York to take on a Buffalo Bills team that, benefits from the weather, but probably not against Kansas City because Kansas City played a colder game last week than Buffalo did.
Sean, I've been saving this to tell you. I am going to this game on Sunday.
Sorry. What?
Yes. My wife's cousin's husband is a big my wife's cousin comes over and her family every Sunday to watch football with us. Yeah. Dave, her husband, is a CMPD officer. He gets off his shift, his first shift. He gets to the house about 2:00 and watch football the rest of the day. Giant Bills fan. He was over Monday, and he's watching Bills Steelers. After the Bills win, he goes, "I'm going to the game this weekend," and books a flight immediately. I thought he was kind of kidding. All right. And Meredith is like, "You're going." And I was like, I am? Am I really going? And she's like, "Yes, you need to be spontaneous for once in your life and you need to go do something that's spontaneous. And oh geez, it gave me about 2 days of anxiety figuring this thing out. But I also
how good of friends are you with this guy though?
Good. What do you mean? Like what? Like we hang all the time. Like they come over the house. We go on vacations together.
Okay, you never mind that. You've done this before. You've traveled with this individual before.
Yeah.
All concern out the window. Okay,
but we have not traveled alone together. Like
it's always been with the wives. It's like you two are the accessories to the actual travel companions.
Yes. Yeah, I know. Okay.
And you're going to be rooting for two different teams.
Yeah. So I bought tickets. I bought tickets on the Bills side of the field too. So, but here's the thing, Sean. Today I realized, as I saw the Buffalo Bills tweet out, that they need people to shovel snow in the stadium.
You're going to be pelted with snowballs.
It's not supposed to snow tomorrow or Sunday, but it snowed a lot today and a lot yesterday. I did not have ski pants to wear. I was going to go with sweatpants and long johns.
Oh.
The low is only 24. It's not as cold as it can be. It's actually not. I went to the Chiefs Patriots AFC Championship game in 2018. It was like 0 degrees.
Jeff, the high is 24.
Oh, it changed now? Okay.
I'm looking at the forecast right now. According to
Sunday.
Google Weather, it's the high, partially sunny, which is great. It's
than
better the rest of the forecast. 24 high, 12 low.
Oh, it changed. Okay. Well, that's not what it was earlier today. Okay. So I went around town today and I found a ski bib and ski pants in my size at Dick's Sporting Goods. Because
what?
Because Sean, Buffalo Bills just tweeted out a picture of the stadium. There is frozen snow on all the seats. It doesn't matter how much they shovel. There's snow everywhere. So
that's right. Some of that is going to be smashing into the back of your head during this game.
So I chose ski bib over ski pants because the ski pants sort of ride down your butt as you sit in them. I have thermal long johns and thermal top. So I have my outfit ready. It's going to go thermal long johns with the ski bib, right? And then I'm going to go thermal top, ski bib, Chiefs jacket, and then I have a big like -40 rated Carhartt that I had when I played for the Vikings. I got gloves, but here's the key too. You got to put on the medical gloves underneath the gloves. Like it's like double. Okay. So I'm going to do that. I have hot hands, which hands, everyone, by the way, the hot hands only work if you put them in your jacket pocket. They don't work holding them like this. Got to put them in the pocket. I then bought a full-on like ski mask thing today, like I'm robbing a bank. And I have a Chiefs hoodie, a Chiefs beanie. So I'm ready for action. I wonder if I can put up a picture on this thing. I'm sure I can, of what my outfit is going to look like for this game. Did
you already try everything on?
I'm gonna have ski boots. I'm bringing my ski boots, which, by the way, I'm like team.
Not actual ski boots.
I mean, that's all I have. No, snow boots. Sorry.
Okay, I was gonna. That would be amazing if you just were clumping around in those ski boots that don't hinge at the ankle.
Yeah, I wonder if I can put in like a little bit of like a picture in this thing. I don't know.
Slide in a graphic. We gotta learn.
Don't
look at me, dude.
I gotta figure out how to do this. I should be able to do this. Let's see here. Nope, I guess not. Maybe not. Sean's small.
Probably something we should have rehearsed and practiced before we.
But I'm ready to go. So the only problem with the ski bib is peeing. You have to like do the whole thing, zip the whole thing down, and then like to go pee. But otherwise, the thing about it is I'm team carry-on. I don't check a bag.
Yeah.
So fitting my snow boots and a ski bib into one carry-on is quite a task, buddy.
Wear the boots. Wear them.
No, I'm not wearing them in the airport. No chance.
Wear them in the airport in Charlotte, North Carolina.
No, I'm going to stuff.
People will just be like, what is wrong with this guy?
I'm going to stuff like the long johns and my socks and all into the boots. Like we'll use them for double packing. Yeah. And then we joked, my wife and I were joking about this, and Charity, Dave's husband, I think we're going to Niagara Falls tomorrow. Just like see the fall. I've never seen it before. And we're like, this is like two old married men just going to see Niagara Falls together.
Are you
So
going to go on the Maiden of the Mist? Are you going to
no,
do the
it's
Jim
too
and
cold.
Pam's wedding?
No,
Come on.
but we're going like I guess the Canadian side is better, so I'm bringing my passport to the Canadian side, and we're gonna just send like two old men going to see the Niagara Falls together, and hopefully my car is all-wheel drive. I have no idea. I'm renting a car, got a hotel, got a parking pass. I mean, like we are ready to go, buddy.
Dude, a little bit jelly. That's
It's
cool.
but this is very surprising for me. Like it's not my style.
I'll tell you why. To put it in context for people who maybe didn't listen to Geoff and I doing college football radio, Pac-12 radio together for almost 6 years.
I would never go to an Oregon game.
Like, I would always be like, Geoff, hey, Oregon playing in Salt Lake City. Let's go. Oregon playing in Vegas for the conference championship, dude. Let's go. And every single time, no, it's not worth it. I don't want to go. But now you're just gonna hop on a plane.
If you had told your wife to tell Meredith and like shame me into not going, then I probably would have gone. Like Dave like sent me these text messages like, "Don't be afraid of Buffalo." Like, why you wimping out? So I'm in. I'm in. I'm going to be cold, but I think Sean, I'm going to see a Chiefs win, which will make it even warmer there. This is the Bills Super Bowl, and this is my cousin being like, "I'm going," like right away. Like this is the biggest game they've had since Jim Kelly was their quarterback in Buffalo. I know they went to the AFC Championship game 3 years ago now. I think it was against Kansas City, but that was in Kansas. This is at home, right? At home.
Yep.
With the hottest teams in the NFL. You have a Chiefs team that's playing their first road playoff game under Patrick Mahomes. They played 15 games in the playoffs, 12 at home, 3 neutral site, even though one of those was obviously a Super Bowl in Tampa Bay, but that was the COVID year, so the crowd wasn't full. So it wasn't like a full Tampa crowd that was in. And anyways, they're corporate, kind of corporate seating anyways. You have a Chiefs offense that has not been as good this season as in years past, and everything's on the Bills in this game. Everyone's picking the Bills. Dude, there are people, that are talking about quarterbacks this weekend that have Patrick Mahomes ranked as like the 5th best quarterback, the 6th best quarterback. Like, what are we doing? He played well last weekend. Like, just catch the football and we're good. Chiefs defense is really, really good. I really think the Chiefs are going to go in there and take this one from Buffalo. All the pressure on Buffalo. Their defense, by the way, Sean, is missing like seven guys. It's not good on defense. And I got the Chiefs win this one.
I think the Chiefs are going to win this one also. I hope that we get Jeff Schwartz making a cameo appearance in like the Bills Mafia tailgate, power bombing someone through a folding table or something like that.
Can I tell you
amazing.
Can I tell you something that also sort of like I don't terribly like? Like me going to tailgates and like meeting random strangers that are like, "Yo, come to my tailgate." Yeah. It's not my thing, Sean. It's not my thing at all.
Hold on. What if though someone's like, "Oh, Geoff, yeah, okay, come to my tailgate," and you're just like, and you got to be polite, but then you pull up and their tailgate is like an elite culinary experience. That's a possibility.
Absolutely. No, I've been invited to multiple tailgates. I just have to like find where they're going to be at. I mean, it's very nice. So I mean, people give me great ideas of where to go. Great ideas. Like someone sent me a map of like where they tailgate at. There's a bar down the street. They said this guy says they bring the deep fryer, wings, fries, nuggets, chicken wing soup, a burn barrel to stay warm, a TV with the early game on.
What's chicken wing soup?
I want to find out.
That's intriguing. You should go find that.
But the question is like, so then if I park, then I have to probably park in someone's like lawn. Like I'll pay someone some cash to park in their lawn.
Yeah. And then just, clomp around in your gigantic size 18 double wide snow boots and get you that full belly of tailgate food. All right. That creates a little boiler situation. So you don't get cold all day. You got some dips, you got some wings, you got a burger, you probably have a hot dog or two in there. You're fine.
Yeah. This one sounds actually pretty good. Like I can go to this bar. I don't have to like find a random tailgate in the stadium. I don't have to park in the stadium.
You said you got a parking pass already.
Yeah, but if I do this, then I'm not going to park and probably walk to the tailgate. I don't know. I got to figure that part out.
Why not? Okay. Let me tell you something. This is not a direction you expected this conversation to go. There will be conversation and side Taylor Swift sightings if she makes the trip to Orchard Park. All right.
Yeah.
Let me tell you how big this whole Travis Kelce Taylor Swift thing has gotten. I'm the play-by-play announcer for Professional Fighters League on ESPN. Our season is going to kick off February 24th with a super event in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Okay. A Saudi sports outlet reached out to me.
Yeah.
And said, "Hey, we'd like to interview you." I was like, "Great, let's do it. Let's start sprinkling the interest for the locals." And it was like 15 questions, 15-question interview.
Yeah.
14 of them were exactly what you would expect. 14 of them were about the matchups on the fight card, what it was like for me to be a fighter who became a broadcaster, the PFL versus the UFC, trying to catch up with what the UFC is trying to do. Exactly what every MMA interview is right now in the world. The other question was about Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce.
Why?
You tell me why. Like,
what was the question about?
The question was something like, this is a high-profile situation. Do you think that it's beneficial for the sport, and is it beneficial for sports in general when like pop culture fans get exposure? And which I think it is, right? Like, there's now some new Chiefs fans because they love Taylor Swift, and Taylor Swift loves the Chiefs, so now they love the Chiefs, right?
Right.
It's great. It's wonderful. But I'm not talking about I was doing an interview with like a London outlet, okay? This was not some sort of sport situation where it was a website from Canada. This was a Saudi Arabian sports news outlet asking me about the NFL by proxy, but really about Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce. How many people in Saudi Arabia knew who Travis Kelce was before this?
Oh, no idea.
How many people in Saudi Arabia cared who the Kansas City Chiefs were before they somehow became associated with Taylor Swift? That it blew my mind that somehow this storyline has permeated not only football culture, but sports culture and pop culture to international sports pop culture. That was crazy to me.
Do you need a ring dude for that tournament? Not a ring gal, a ring dude. Are there any need for that?
Yeah. No, that would be great. Actually,
shirt off.
There was an organization that that used it was female when females were fighting when the ladies were fighting.
Yeah, they
would have a ring card man carry the ring cards shirtless and looking sexy. Yeah.
Is this the PFL versus Bellator?
Yeah, PFL versus Bellator, February 24th in Riyadh. Yeah, it's actually an unbelievable card. Great, really cool matchups. We'll keep doing this. We'll talk more about it as we get closer to it. Right now, NFL playoff weekend is obviously the thing that's got everyone's attention. There's a UFC title fight this weekend that's pretty interesting because there's a lot of back and forth. One of the fighters is just an absolute quote machine, but only for crazy controversial stuff. Like that's all he says. So
who's that?
The MMA world is buzzing right now.
Who's that?
His name's Sean Strickland. He's
the Trump guy, right?
No, that's Colby Covington.
The
super Trump guy. No, yeah. Sean Strickland, I don't even know how you would describe him. He's a dude who is like self-admitted. Said like, I'm glad I found MMA because otherwise I probably would be a murderer and in prison.
Oh.
Yeah. Like he came from an unbelievably awful childhood and he's been pretty public about that. And his opponent like made fun of him for that in the run up to the fight. His opponent's a South African guy. So this will give you a sense, if you're not an MMA fan, of the two guys that are squaring off for the middleweight belt. Okay. One of them is Sean Strickland, who was raised and abused by a neo-Nazi father. Okay. And until he was like well into his teenage years, was in the skinhead movement and somehow found a way out of it and into MMA and fought his way up through the ranks, was kind of a journeyman, found the right camp, did some great things, and now is the champion. Okay. And he beat Israel Adesanya, who is a Kiwi of Nigerian descent and one of the great fighters in the middleweight division's history. Okay. That's who he beat to get the title. On the other side of this fight is a South African dude named Dracus du Plessis, who is, in my opinion, like the least skilled MMA champion outside of myself, or potential champion outside of myself. Like, the guy is just tough. That's how he's here. He gets hit a lot. He's just raw power. He's just a brute. He's not really all that spectacular of a martial artist, but I admire him because he's just like a grinder. And he
right.
Now, when he was climbing up the ranks, it looked like what was going to happen was that Dracus, white South African, was going to be fighting Israel Adesanya, Kiwi of Nigerian descent. And Dracus decided that the best way to sprinkle interest on this thing was to tell everyone, the fans, like, hey, we need a real African champion. I'm the only one who would bring my belt back to Africa. I'm the only one who would fight in Africa, train in Africa. Like, I live in South Africa.
Yeah.
I would be the UFC's first real African champion. Those were the words that he said. With Francis Ngannou already having won a UFC belt, with Kamaru Usman, who was born in Nigeria and is the son of immigrants, him already holding a UFC belt, and obviously with Israel Adesanya already holding a UFC belt as well. So he decided to tell everyone, I would be the first real African champion. And now he's fighting the guy who I'm not even going to bring up any, like, most of his quotes, because it's literally just hate speech. Like, the guy, he's just, it's insane. So these are the two guys squaring off. So you can imagine the soup of controversy that has stirred up around all that.
But controversy is good for sports. Like, this is good for your business.
It's good, especially for the UFC, because Dana White doesn't care. He doesn't want people to filter themselves. He doesn't care about upsetting corporate sponsors. He doesn't care about any of that. At the press conference this week, Strickland was asked about his previous comments about the LGBTQ community, and he just doubled down and just burnt it down to the ground, and a bunch of sponsors and people were just like, are you going to address this? And the UFC's like, nah, we don't care.
Because the thing about it too is their fan base probably doesn't care either.
Yeah, they don't. I mean, most people in the fan base don't care. But
are we going to a just for men situation for you for these fights?
You mean you want me to paint this bad boy?
I don't know. Last time you did.
Paint it black.
Did you do that last time? Is it bet?
I had a great partnership with Just for Men One Day Beard and Brow Color.
That's a real partnership. I thought it was like
I got
look at you, buddy. You're a social media influencer.
Yeah, I'm a big time influencer. I never actually wore it on a broadcast.
Oh.
Because I thought that would be a little bit too obvious, right? I mean, you show up for 21 events of the year looking like this,
just like a Ryan Day, just going jet black beard.
And then number 22, just like, no, not my style to do that. But my wife loved it when I painted this black.
Ooh,
she was
kid number 4 coming up.
Yeah, so Just for Men, thanks for that.
What color suit we going? You picked that out yet?
No, I haven't picked it out yet. I've been encouraged to choose more conservative suits.
Shocking! I would shocked. I would have flown.
I've been encouraged to class it up a little bit. The brass in whether it's at ESPN where our broadcasts are, or in the company in the Professional Fighters League, wants me to tone it down, to quit peacocking so much.
You do some peacocking.
Got to let me fly.
Yeah. All right. I think we covered it all. What do you think?
Yeah, I think we're there. Go Niners. Going to be a huge weekend of NFL football. We'll come back and we'll talk about what happens on Monday.
I'll try not to text you guys how much I hate people in Buffalo.
No, here's what I need. I need a full list of everything you eat while you're in Buffalo. All right.
Okay.
We need that, and obviously, I want to see you in your Christmas Story Ralphie outfit.
I just text you the outfit. I think I told you guys the other day in our text thread that being in public, I just don't like people even more being in public, and this is probably going to be the same situation. So,
what's so funny is like if I wore this outfit, if I wear that outfit, nobody, I blend into people. There's no way that even like my best friends would recognize me.
Yeah.
You don't get to blend in though because you're the size of Chewbacca.
Yeah, that's comfortable. I'm pretty warm in that outfit though.
Yeah, I bet you are, especially standing there in Charlotte with the green grass behind you. All right. We'll talk about it on Monday. Enjoy your trip. Be safe.
All right. Bye, guys.
Have fun on the Maiden of the Mist.
Thank you. Take care, everyone. Bye.